Hey everybody, it's Casper, and I've got a question that I want to answer here today. It came from Bobby, a member of the Star Tribe. And Bobby writes, honestly, with all the stuff happening in the world, I find that I don't have the same passion about things like I did before. I'd love to hear your story on how you maintain your passion to keep helping people, to keep going, to keep that flame alive. So I love this question, and I want to take the time to answer it. So Bobby, and anybody watching this right now who's in the same shoes, first of all, stop watching the news. Stop watching the news and or any source of information of what's going on, because your question tells me that there's somehow you have an opinion of what's going on, and so that must be shaped by some kind of source. And so whether it is CNN or BBC alternative news or talking to people, you're building a narrative of what's going on in the world, and it's dark and depressing. And yes, there are some things going on. I'm sure, I'm not denying that. I'm not talking about going into denial. I'm talking about disconnecting from any kind of interpretation and actually meeting reality here right now, first and foremost. Because what I'm finding in my life is there's two things going on. There's the false world, which is the narrative and what's being talked about and what's being presented. And I'm not saying some of those things aren't true, but it is a narrative, okay? And then there's the real world, which is in here and out here when you meet in here and you follow this. And when I'm following this in my life, I'm seeing a very, very different planet. I'm seeing communities coming up. I'm seeing people moving towards the craziest, wildest dreams and turning them into reality. I'm seeing people coming together and aligning in the name of health, love, and awakening, and like making miracles come into reality. And here, like where I am right now, I have some really good friends who have just like created an entire new health festival and like completely started helping people wake up in the local government and just crazy wild things. I'm seeing in my own life just miracles unfolding, friendships forming, so much love and beauty as the old world falls away. So stop watching the news, stop watching any kind of interpretation, and actually start focusing on you. Because this question tells me that, this stuff happening in the world is filling your head. And yeah, there are some things happening, but you don't actually get any benefit from focusing on it. You just attract more of that interpretation into your system, and so your whole world starts to look like that. See what happens when you totally disconnect from that. So that's the first part of the question. But the deeper part of this is beautiful, and it's to the answer of that. How do you keep your passion alive with all the things happening in the world? You don't. You let the old world burn. You let it fall apart. And what I mean by that is not like outside, but in here. Because there's two worlds, again. There's the world outside, which you think is happening, and really, you're not really ever talking about the real world when you talk about the world. You're talking about your interpretation of that here inside of you. What's really happening right now on the planet is all the ideas we had, the beliefs we had about what the world was and how it was and who was in it and how it operated, all of that is falling apart. And this is awesome. This is great. Because all the darkness that you see right now outside, it already was there for eons, for a very long time. And then along came 2020, and all of a sudden it was in our face. What was inside was coming up to the surface, and now we can see it for what it is. We lived in a bubble, especially those of us who call ourselves light workers. We live in a bubble of thinking like, oh, everything's awesome and it's fine. We have our own bubble of our reality, and then all our friends around us, we assume where they really are and where they're at in their life and their perspectives, and so many other things about the world and how it operates. And all those little bubbles are bursting because reality is coming here. We're coming to face reality. And so let that fall apart. What's falling apart is the world inside you, which you think was here, which is now evidently no longer the case. And so this is the depressing part. This is the part that feels a little sad, a little dark, a little bit like, or maybe hopeless, especially if you watch the news. But let it fall apart. Let it fall away, because it's making space for the real you to be here. And as you'll discover through this process, which you're learning about in the Star Tribe and on the videos, the transmutation and the mind-body connection, when you breathe into the darkest, most depressing parts of you, you transmute that into peace and joy. And so the joy and the passion that starts to come through is not the type of passion, the childlike passion of like, the world is broken and I'm going to save it and I'm going to make it better and I'm excited about this stuff. It's like that whole little narrative of like A, B, C and a linear path, that's all falling away. That new joy is just pure expansion, that pure movement of like, what does it mean to really follow my heart, even and especially when it seems hopeless, when it seems dark, when it seems like you're just looking into the abyss and nothing is possible, right? What does it mean to move towards your lightness and your expansiveness and that? Well, from that movement, you anchor yourself deep inside. Deep inside the I am that I am consciousness inside of you, and you see what happens. It's very different than looking for external results. So your question also tells me that you want to like find your passion and rise above something, because it says, how do you maintain your passion, right? You don't maintain your passion. You let yourself feel. You let yourself feel the world fall apart and let yourself feel yourself falling apart completely. Stop trying to maintain this identity, this illusion of somebody that's got it all together and is holding the world. And I know you, especially Bobby, you know, you're feeling this fatigue, right, in your body. I've had the same thing. It comes from carrying that world on your shoulders, thinking that you have to do life. Just take a deep breath. And just speak to your body wherever you feel this stress, lack of passion. I allow you to be in my body. I allow you to lose your passion in my body. I allow the world to fall apart in my body. I allow myself to be without passion in my body and see what happens. See what happens. At first, it might be some like depression, some darkness, some like, oh, or maybe some resistance, like I can't let go of this. But if you sink deep enough and breathe deep enough and really relax, you're going to find peace. You're going to find peace, relaxation. You're going to see yourself fall apart. You're going to see the old you fall apart and a completely new joy and expansion and spaciousness come in. And all of a sudden, the world will look a lot different. You find that the way you perceive things before is not the new world. It's not about going out there and trying to save the world and trying to fix it. I remember the first time that I experienced a piece of this, because many years ago I was running these patterns of trying to save people all the time and save the world and make it a better place. That was my whole life. And many of us operate in this place. There's nothing bad about it. But it comes from a deep wounded child, a deep place of feeling not safe in your own body. And I was in the middle of a session with this really master hypnotherapist, and I was telling him, this friend I had, about all the things I was doing to make the world a better place, and to, you know, all these projects I was working on, and just how hard I would need to make it all happen. And he looked at me, and I'll never forget it. He said to me in the middle of the session, Casper, what does any of this have to do with you? And I'm like, what do you mean? Well, I'm a better person and blah, 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 all these things. I want to do these things. Yeah, but what does it have to do with you? What does it have to do with your joy? What does it have to do with your love? Like, what does it have to do with your with your family? What does it have to do with you? Like, you. And I had no idea what he meant. But for a moment, it just like this split opening, because I finally felt him calling to that part of me that I couldn't reach. That part of me that I was so busy covering up with all this stuff and all this doing, and tears just started pouring down my face, and I realized he was right. And he looked at me, he said, you know what, Casper, do you realize that Hitler too wanted to change the world? like wanting to change the world and helping people it's not a big deal. It's not a big thing. Everybody wants that, right? But what do you want for you? Truly. And it's like, oh, okay. And it opened up a little window that grew and grew and grew, and eventually became a waterfall as I turned inwards instead of going outwards all the time. So you don't maintain your passion. Forget about it. Lose it. This passion, this excitement, this wanting to help and save people, it comes from that old savior complex, actually a false matrix program, which has been embedded through religions for eons. The savior always gets crucified, and you're experiencing that right now. You've been saving and trying to move into passion, and your energy's falling away. You're falling apart because it has to happen, because it's not sustainable. It's not sustainable to constantly want to save people. You've got to choose yourself. So I hope that this has been helpful. You know, ultimately, when you watch my videos or my stuff, you might see me smiling and being joyful and passionate because I just love what I'm doing. I love what I'm doing. And it comes from a different place. I don't wake up and I'm like, oh, all this shit happening in the planet. What's my mission? How do I make it better? No, I just let it fall apart. I let it all fall away in my body and I meet what is here. Because it's not about like following your passion and believing that that's the answer, or believing in the new world, or not believing, or believing in God and a higher power and not believing, because ultimately, like, believing or not believing, what is the difference? Like, reality is here. Reality's out here. It's sprawled before you like a golden carpet. If you just step onto it and just meet yourself here and out here, what actually is here, including this like fear of like what will happen if I let go, then you meet reality. Then you meet God. And to me, that is exciting, because I don't believe in this new earth and, you know, all the stuff that we get excited about. I just feel it inside, and I feel the new earth coming, not as like some prophecy, but because I see the evidence in my own life of what happens when I follow my heart so deeply and move in alignment with myself. I see the miracles taking place. So for me, that is the evidence behind everything that I say. It's not from belief. It's not from faith. It's just like, guys, it's here. It's here. It's right here. Okay. And that's what puts a smile on my face, that I can move from there. And there's this tremendous safety that arises when you breathe deeply enough into this darkness inside of you, into these traumas. This peace just arises. This joy comes to you naturally. And so you feel totally safe meeting anything. Like, if the freaking sky started pouring down fireballs and burning down everything right now here, I'd be like, cool, okay, this is happening. Great. This is what needs to happen. Okay, it wouldn't put a dampener on the depth, the infinite depth of the I am that I am consciousness that is permeating all of our hearts and shining through our eyes. So let that light up your life, and dig deeper, dive into your soul, dive into your heart, meet all these places, and you will find the same thing, if not better than what I'm talking about here. All right, I think I've said enough. I could talk about this for hours and hours. Let me know if you guys have any other questions and if you found this helpful. And if you're curious, come check out what we're doing down in the Star Tribe. The link is down below this video. It's school.com/StarTribe or sailthestars.com. You see the links down below. Subscribe to this channel if you find this helpful, you want more. And also check out the Sail the Stars project down below, what we're doing. And there's links down there to get on my newsletter if you want to be on that too. But come check out the Star Tribe. It's an online community that we're creating to assist you in following your heart, aligning with your deepest joy and your expansion, healing your body through the mind and body connection, tapping into like your purpose, why you're actually here, what you've come here to do, and doing that, moving into it. So if you're interested in that, come and join us. You're invited. And I'll see you soon. Ciao.